Can you explain what are these emerging technologies?
I would say today's technology, whatever we see today, definitely it is going to get outdated soon. Whatever I teach today, there may be some sort of updates continuously progressing.
Is there any example in real life where only blockchain is used?
If I am doing some transactions one to one, I am just paying some money to a vendor, and the vendor can claim I haven't received the money itself. So in that particular situation, banking networks are already adopting blockchain to say nobody is in the middle. See, nobody is going to be in the middle. The records are completely immutable and nobody can break into the system. It clearly shows that you have received this particular amount.
Can you give the example of organization using blockchain?
The best example I could say is Volkswagen.
Hi, welcome to our podcast Connecting Global Vision. And today we have our guest speaker as Professor Mani, who teach modern technology like AI, cybersecurity, and business analyst. And we will come to know more from him in Aston University. So welcome, Mani, and it's glad for us to have you in our podcast.
Thank you so much, Nehat. Thanks for this wonderful introduction. And it's my pleasure to share my views via your podcast on the emerging technologies, especially in the areas whatever I work at Aston University. Basically, I am a lecturer of cybersecurity who works on blockchain, artificial intelligence, and some areas of cybersecurity, especially on penetration testing.
Can you explain what are these emerging technology, especially when we are talking about 5 years down the line from now?
That's never-ending question. I would say today's technology, whatever we see today, definitely it is going to get outdated soon. And whatever I teach today, there may be some sort of updates continuously progressing. And in current technological market, I would say blockchain is one of the most significant technology where you can find a lot of applications is being currently enabling blockchain. And according to the recent statistics from Statistica, the global market cap for blockchain is expected to go from 11 billion in 2022, which was 11 billion in 2022, or 162 billion by 2027. Being adapted rapidly in finance, especially in supply chain and some areas of healthcare as well. And the next technology would be not a recent thing, but cybersecurity. And just as the cyber ventures predicts that cyber crimes that is happening around the world is going to be accounted for 10 trillions annually by 2025. As a result, we can see a huge market for cybersecurity. And as you can see, it is expected to grow beyond these values with heavy investments, especially adapting the cybersecurity with the AIs and the large language models, whatever we see in today's current context of GPTs. Especially, you will find what were the potential threats that is being used, that is being created, and then how people are engaging, how the businesses are engaging. And the last thing is AI. As we all know, AI adoption in the business is what is completely more than what we are expecting, and it is expected to be doubled or tripled in the coming years as well. And some statistics clearly shows that 75% of the companies will definitely adopt AI by 2025. And there is a report from Gartner. They just predicted there could be a huge inclusions of AI in healthcare, finance, and some areas of manufacturing.
Can you give a brief explanation on blockchain or on AI so that a common person who is not related to the technology or who does not know the core technology can able to understand?
That's a very good question. Straight away, before we speak about the actual technology itself, it is very, very important to say what those technologies in a very general and common perspective. Let me start with the blockchain.
Yeah, sure.
Imagine you are having a public library logbook,
Hmm.
and whoever the person lending a book or getting a book, every book that is being borrowed from that particular library will be registered in that particular logbook. And each entry, once it is being registered,
Hmm.
it cannot be altered. Precisely, this is the entire mechanism happening up in the blockchain. Whatever the kind of activities you do, it will definitely create a permanent record. So blockchain networks, like the most common one, the Bitcoin,
Hmm.
processes over 250,000 transactions. Yeah, 250,000 transactions.
Okay.
Uh, and all these transactions were being recorded, and it cannot be altered. And when it comes to the AI, imagine like it is a smart assistant you have with you all the time. Whatever you do, the assistant will record all these informations. And at one point of time, when you ask that particular assistant, he can provide much more significant improvisations on the same activities, whatever you have done so far, so that you can be much more better in a way like how you have done so something sometime before and sometime you are trying to do at the current point. And I just wanted to give you an example for this particular thing, AI.
Yeah.
I know everybody is watching Netflix, and the Netflix recommendation system is something goes with our watch histories. How much time we are spending out on a particular web series or particular genre of a film.
Hmm.
Yeah, probably it will provide as in a way like same sort of journals or same sort of web series as a recommendations. How this is happening is that particular algorithm will understand who this person is, and it will provide much more sophisticated recommendations for us to have a better watch time of something similar sort of series as it is.
Is the same algorithm is used for other, like when we are doing any shopping in the phone, and you will see that after some time we start getting the recommendations, or what we say, do anything in YouTube, when we search anything we start getting similar type of videos. Is that the same?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Almost precisely speaking, most of the recommendation algorithms works in this particular fashion. As long as you feed them with your personalized informations, they just curate everything according to your preferences, according to the way you use to see all those things, and then how much time, the surfing time you are going through those particular website on a particular product. All these informations will be captured by those algorithms, and definitely they will provide in a way like a return of something in a very different fashion, so
Hmm.
that it can be a benefit for the end users.
Is there any drawback of that? Because we are talking about the benefit, but having so much access control of user, that what user need, what not, what's their likes and dislike, what are the disadvantage of AI, and is it something which you can share with us?
Yes, as we are engaging more with those technologies, there are certain downsides as well.
Yeah.
First, first thing I would say, like the privacy of the people can be compromised at any time. The informations, whatever you share, it doesn't mean like it is been always safe at some other end.
Hmm.
There are certain chances a hacker can enter into that particular system and then he can loot all those informations. So privacy is something which is a very big question. And apart from the privacy, the confidentiality of certain aspects. Let's say if you are sharing some personal or intimate informations between your partner into your social media platform under the context like it is going to be safe,
Hmm.
no, it is not like that. So the technology, whatever we see in today's market, always comes with its own downside. And it is our responsibility to make use of these technologies in a way like it should not harm our privacy, confidentiality, and then whatever you see as a kind of potential threat, it should not be done as something with those technologies. When you're engaging, we have to be very cautious.
Can you give the example of organization using blockchain?
The best example I could say is Volkswagen. So we all know Volkswagen is one of the prominent and a giant in automobile sector, and they have adapted blockchain and AI together to ensure that ethical sourcing of materials like cobalt. So
Hmm.
cobalt is one of the core material for battery developments in electrical vehicles.
Hmm.
So they have adapted this to ensure that the record of origin of where that particular material is coming from.
Or is there any example in real life where only blockchain is used so we can understand more the function of blockchain?
Yeah, of course. When we take about the financial system, a financial market,
Hmm.
yeah. Let's say, for example, if I am doing some transactions one to one
Hmm.
from I'm just paying some money to a vendor,
Hmm.
yeah, and the vendor can claim like I haven't received the money itself. Though you can show some records in the bank statements, though you show some records from his vendor side experience,
Hmm.
there are certain chances like no, it is not happening. The records can be false. So in that particular situation, banking networks can are already adopting blockchain to say like nobody is in the middle. See, nobody is going to be in the middle. The records are completely immutable and nobody can break into the system. It clearly shows that you have received this particular amount at this particular interval of time.
And also, whenever we talk about blockchain, there is always the topic which come is cryptocurrency. So how blockchain is related to cryptocurrency, more than how, I should ask why blockchain is related with cryptocurrency, why we talk about.
That's something I mean when I started working on learning something about blockchain. Apparently, the first thing I came to know about blockchain just because of cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
especially Bitcoin. I
Yeah.
still remember that in 2009, when I started my journey into the academia, in 2009, I just came across a blog. I think it was in Blogspot. Yeah, I think it was in Blogspot in
Okay.
2009, and I read an article saying like there is a coin called virtual coin, and that name is Bitcoin, and the value of the Bitcoin is something like a small point one or 0.001 crypto values. And there was a person who predicted that in next upcoming 10 years or 20 years the value of one Bitcoin is going to be in 350k or 400k of USDs. And at the time I really thought like, I even asked my father, can you lend me some amount so that I can make some investment, at least 5k or 10k INR, to do some kind of investments in cryptocurrencies. My father literally told me like, are you going to do some sort of imaginary investment? Because nobody realized like it is not a physical coin, and nobody have experienced in a way like this is something totally new to the market. And in 2009 or in those period, 5k and 10k itself is a quite a lump sum. And
Correct.
my father did it, and it continued in until 2013 and 2014. I was literally tracking out those informations, and the values keep on getting up. The
Increasing.
values keep going up.
Yeah.
And little later I realized like the potential is huge. And then what is the technology behind it? Why Bitcoin is something everybody is using, and that too people are investing in millions and billions, especially on an imaginary coin.
Hmm.
If somebody is investing something out there in that particular range of money, and why my dad's fear is not coming into them?
Hmm.
That's the question I realized, and then I started understanding what's the kind of technology behind those cryptocurrencies, and that's where I started working on the blockchain.
Okay.
So the blockchain is something much more getting into the pace just because of Bitcoin. And the first and significant and the most important thing about blockchain is it is completely immutable. It is completely immutable, and
Okay.
it is completely decentralized, and it is completely distributed. I can say this particular person holds this amount of Bitcoin by seeing the transactions, by seeing the records. But even if I know who the person is, I cannot go and steal that.
Correct.
I cannot go and grab that.
Hmm.
And even if I try to grab that thing, because you may imagine like everything is going to be virtual, it is going to be in some servers or datas. If I
Hmm.
crash that server or if I crash that particular log or ledger, I'm going to transfer it. No. In the blockchain phenomenon, the most beautiful thing is, even if you know who the person is, even if you understand what kind of bitcoins that person is holding out, you cannot go and collect, or you cannot go and do some kind of malicious transactions like what we are actually experiencing in actual financial market, because different levels of elevations within the blockchain requires multiple roles from multiple people, imaginary people.
Okay.
Imagine you are in an immersive world and every transaction is going to be validated by imaginary people in the same environment, and nobody knows who these persons are, where they are working from, and what kind of computational things they are doing. Ultimately they just need some sort of validation from imaginary people.
When we are talking so many advantages, so many things, can you able to tell one disadvantage of AI, blockchain, and cybersecurity?
Like I said earlier, all these technologies are more likely associated with your privacy. And let's say one by one, when you just add some of your private moments or your private conversations or your financial transactions within the block, yeah, as a data, within the blockchain as a data set, it will be there forever. It will be there forever within the blockchain network. It will be there forever. What if maybe in next 25 years or 30 years, if somebody comes with multiple supercomputers to break the chain, your data will be revealed. And
Okay.
likewise, coming to the AI part, yeah, deepfake things are happening, and we all know there are huge amount of issues happening up with people impersonating as a different person on your voice calls, asking as a potential threat makers for financial transactions, and especially targeting elderly peoples for their money. And this is happening up just because of AI. And
Right.
one way or other, all these things are related to the threats that are associated with cyber environment.
Yeah.
It can be a potential thing for any hackers to get into your system to make use of or take advantage of all these potential vulnerable things what we see in our current environment. But I would say like these technologies were developed for the benefit of humans.
Hmm.
But on the other end, people always think about other possibilities in an extreme cases, in an extreme negative side as well. And that's how these things are evolving. And nobody ever thought about deepfakes that can be used against humans. But
Yeah.
now you can say like every day, every situation, we have to think about the fake mechanisms, whether that this particular image or this particular draft or this particular text originated from the actual person or not. That is a big question. And how do you find evidence for those things? That is again another thing. So
Hmm.
that is something I would say as a negative side of all these technologies. But apart from this negative side, there are huge positives.
Is there any myth you think that about this technology? Is there any myth which people feel and actually it's not like that?
That's again an interesting question. I would say like there are so many myths. Even your single photographs online can be morphed, and nobody can able to find whether that particular person is actually the person or not. That is one best example I could say. But it is not like that. There are so many evidences clearly states that we can backtrack or we can reverse engineer certain mechanisms, especially in the AI, especially in security domains. I would also say like hackers, hackers in the cyber environment, they do their job in three different phases: red hat, black hat, and then white hat. White hat hackers, they clearly say like, I am going to do this,
Hmm.
see to test. what kind of level of security your system is having. It's an intimation as well in advance. The black hat hackers, they will just simply say like, they just do this for a joy. They just do it for their curiosity to explore certain things, but they do not harm anything or any data from the actual system they are hacking into. But the red hat hackers, we have to be very cautious about. They just do hacking just to loot money, just to expose something, and all these hackers' identity sometimes can be revealed when it comes to the white hat, but other two nobody knows. But that is a downside. I would say those things are the downside. But not all hackers. The point is the myth.
Yeah.
Hackers should have a hoodie, and then they should have multiple systems behind, and they will be working with multiple monitors.
Yeah.
No, that is the
Dark room.
biggest myth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even I can do hacking with simple tablet on the go when I was going on a tram or tube or so. So don't imagine always a hacker should wear all these things behind this thing. And I would say, and another example recently I explored is everybody has their mobile phone enabled with fingerprint sensor, right?
Correct.
And people say like our fingerprints cannot be hacked. Like if your mobile phone has a fingerprint, it is for your safety. Your security is on your hand. No, it's not like that. We can easily track that particular fingerprint sensor, and then we can get into your mobile phones.
And how can that be done?
There are so much sophisticated softwares in the market,
Okay.
and that literally can be done. So that is a potential of the security vulnerabilities happening up, especially on the devices what we use. Just a small bug or a small malicious code injections within the software platforms we use that can literally pull out whatever the informations I require from different victims' profiles or victim devices.
Okay. Okay. And in that way, I think that's why we have two-port authentication, where it seems
Yes,
more.
that's where the end-to-end encryptions, and then multi-factor authentications, and then secondary way of making sure that the process is going good, all these things came into picture.
Because now we know it's a huge demand of these technologies, but if people really want to learn about this, and because there are many students in university or working people who wants to learn about it, from where they can start this?
That's the most important question. Everybody wants to, definitely they have to know the basics of these technologies.
Yeah.
The best platform, I won't say it is the best platform, but the easily available platform is Coursera and EDX. And you can also explore Stanford Center for Professional Development, SEPD,
Okay.
Stanford Center for Professional Development, where they provide a lot of foundational courses, especially in the blockchain, especially for introductory courses on AI and cybersecurity. And tech giants like IBM, Microsoft, and then Google, they also, in partnership with these agencies like Coursera and EDX, they provide certifications. And if you are a beginner, want to explore about these technologies, I would recommend to go and surf on these particular topics.
Okay.
And since everybody knows YouTube, there are so many YouTube channels. I don't want to be specific on specific YouTube channel, because different channels they concentrate on different things. There are so many YouTube channels which provides end-to-end information about these technologies. And when it comes to the book which I used to recommend for my students, especially for blockchain, is from Daniel Drescher. The book title is Blockchain Basics. Daniel Drescher, he explained the blockchain from the ground level, how this technology got up, and then what is behind this technology, and what were the things, the terms and conditions, and then the different roles being played. All these things were very much in detail from this particular person's book, The Blockchain Basics, from Daniel Rescher. And when it comes to the AI,
Yeah.
there is an ultimate guide for thinking humans by Melanie.
Yeah.
When I started working on AI back in 2015 or 2016 or 2015, at that time, there was very limited books for AI. There was very limited books, especially for the exemplary, example-wise explanations on artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
And in today's environment, I would recommend to check on the Guide for Thinking Humans by Melanie, and it will provide a deep understanding starting from the introduction of AI. And apart from the books and the online courses, I would also want to recommend there are certain hands-on platforms like Google Colab, and then IBM developers platforms,
Mhm.
where you will find so many numerous basic projects, like preliminary projects, where you can literally find how these technologies were being deployed and being used by different people. So
Definitely.
that there are a lot of repositories like GitHub within Google Colab,
Yeah.
where people can directly enroll and see how these projects are being run and then being deployed and then being used in the commoners perspectives.
Like whether if you're working in AI or in blockchain or in cybersecurity, the prerequisite is the prerequisite to be a hardcore technical person, or is there anything like if
Okay,
yeah.
that's a quite tricky one, but it doesn't stop anyone from learning a new technology. All these technologies definitely need some technical expertise.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, like they should be able to understand what those technical terms speaks, what those technical terms are trying to explain them. And especially, we no need to worry about the coding, especially uh, in the current context of large language models.
Hmm.
Yeah, we no need to worry about the programming languages like Python or or something like that, because those LLMs definitely helps to some extent on learning those programming languages.
Hmm.
And I would also say, like, these technologies
Hmm.
starts from the very basic end. It is again the deployment phase, and where you deploying it, what sort of applications you are trying to focus on, and all these things is really important when it comes to when it comes to the person's preferences. As long as if some person has at least some basic understanding of certain terminologies, how
Hmm.
these terminologies used, or how these mechanisms work, they can definitely survive. And no need to worry about I have to know all these things before I start something from this technology, because
Yeah.
I literally started something from ground zero. I have never coded before I started working on blockchain. But depending upon the way we are approaching a project, depending upon the type of project we are trying to work, there might be some prerequisites. If a person can have some sort of interest in learning these technologies,
Hmm.
probably that particular person will never give up on learning new technologies and new kind of expertise to add up in their skill sets. That is the only one thing we should keep in mind.
Yeah.
And definitely it will help them to learn and excel in these particular domains.
I think that's very well said, and this is something which everyone has to be aware of, that this is the future, I feel, whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, but I think this is the future. I would like to say to everyone who is watching this episode that in the coming episode, whatever the questions everyone is having, please write down in our comment section, so that one session we will have just answering those questions. What do you think?
Yes, of course, of course. Definitely, it is a very explorable topic.
Yes.
We can definitely have another kind of session to explain certain things in a well detailed way for them.
Thank you Thank you so much, Mani. It was great experience. It was great learning, and I'm hoping to have many more episodes with you on this emerging technologies.
Thank you so much, Nega. Thanks for your invite, and looking forward to have more conversations in these technologies. Thank you so much.